Hello again, YouTube. This is Bad, and I'm coming at you through PlayStation Now. Okay, that was a joke, but honestly, I haven't seen a whole lot of technical detail on how PlayStation Now works, but Sony did announce it. They're finally putting the screws to Gaikai to get them to turn out a service that they're going to be able to use to stream games to not just PlayStations, but all sorts of, Sony devices. And I guess the hope is that they can kind of bridge the gap between all the other divisions in their company that are losing money and the gaming division. So the point is, you can stream games, PS3, PS2, and PS1 games, presumably, to your PS Vita, Vio computer, Bravia TV, PlayStation 4, so on and so forth. And as I've said, they announced back at E3, hey, we're going to be having a streaming service. It's going to give us the backward compatibility you guys are all clamoring for. Yeah, they announced that, and I was skeptical then. I'm skeptical now. As somebody who has worked with several different VDI implementations, that's virtual desktop interface, or as Cisco calls it, VDX, virtual desktop experience. But as somebody who's worked with all these different implementations in one way or another, there was always one thing that you just don't get past. But pretty much every VDI implementation I've used, HP, Cisco, even on a LAN with a 10 gig backbone, even on a LAN with a 100 gig backbone, there was always lag. There's just no way to get beyond it. And I'm talking about, I'm streaming a desktop session to you, right? This is, you have a virtual server that's running an image that gets pushed down to a thin client or zero client. Once that session's set up, all the applications or specific applications are designed to run from the server. So a lot of your full motion video and stuff is going to be running from the server, and it was always laggy. There was always input lag from the keyboard. There was always screen tearing, jitter. I've seen a lot of users get very angry at these systems and literally just kick it back in your lap and say, no, you take this. I'm not going to be allowed to pass. You shall not pass. And I'm going to be glossing over details. Obviously, I don't have time to go into a whole lot of technical mumbo jumbo where VDI is concerned. There's a lot of reasons that you get lag in VDI implementations, and there are ways that you can clean it up and you can make it a little bit better. But the problem was always there, and you'd have users that were just call angrily or come by and toss the equipment at you like, get this thing out of my face, I don't want to ever see it again. Now there was one technology that I saw at I want to say it was Geek Day, a little show put on by WWT. They supply the data centers for like Bing.com and stuff like that. They have mobile data centers. They do a lot of implementation stuff for various partners. They're vendor agnostic, which is very nice. But they put on a show every year called Geek Day, and that was where I saw the Terradici chip. I've seen it in action, no lag whatsoever. Now, there's a possibility that Gaikai works similarly to whatever, for black magic that Terradici was working. So it's a possibility. However, there's a lot going on with a video game. You have to have perfect server to client communications. You can't drop packets or miss packets or have any kind of network fluctuations whatsoever. And remember, I'm telling you that we used to have issues on 10 gig and 100 gig backbone LANs. I mean, you know, the amount of throughput that you get on those networks is just flabbergasting, and to see something as simple as a desktop interface choke and lag is, you know, interesting to say the least. It always works perfectly in the lab. It never works, you know, in the real world environment the way that it works in the lab. Now, going over, you know, terrestrial, consumer grade cable, that's going to be a real trick. And if they pull it off, that's a real magic show. And I congratulate them for it. However, I have to remain skeptical, because I can't see it happening. And even on the best connections, I will guarantee you right now, even on the best connections, you're going to get some amount of screen tearing, you're going to get jitters, you're going to get input lag. You're gonna just get a general general sluggish feeling, and it's probably gonna, you know, feel similar to the micro stutter that you get with Crossfire X cards with certain games. It's like it's not that noticeable, but it's just noticeable enough to really just annoy the piss out of you. So I can see that. It's not going to be a flawless solution. I think over time, as bandwidth increases and as link reliability increases, and a lot of this DOCSIS stuff standardizes, and it gets more, get more compliance, throughout the country with broadband rates and stuff like that. I think it'll get better. And obviously as the technology matures now, I mean, VDI is not a brand new technology, but I mean, it's constantly evolving and changing. So there's a lot of different implementations out there. None of them are, absolutely perfect. They all have their flaws. But I mean, the one thing that's consistent among all of them, there's always some sort of just feeling of sluggishness. And when it comes to full motion video, there's always screen tearing. It doesn't matter really how fast your network is. There's gonna be some screen tearing because there's always other bandwidth. When you're in the lab, it's really hard to simulate collisions and all the other things that happen on a live network with actual traffic. Take that for what it's worth. It's probably going to be a decent service. It's not going to be the service that a lot of people think it's going to be. It's not going to be the be-all, end-all. And I think that it's going to be very limited, to the point where, yeah, you'll probably play demos on it. I think it's going to be quality enough to play demos on. So be able to instantly stream your demos. That'll be cool. But when it comes to playing full versions of games, and it's not going to be fun. And it's really not going to matter what kind of game is being run. So basically what they're doing is they're putting, blade mounted servers with hardware PS3s, 8 PS3s basically on each blade. And they'll probably roll that out so that it's, taking up several data centers full of PS3s. And it's still got to send all of that data over the wire and receive all of that data back, and it's got to do it quick, and it's got to do it securely. And that's where the rub is a lot of times, is that you want to have those secure connections. Well, that TCP handshake costs a lot of cycles, and that SSL handshake costs a lot more cycles, and they really do tend to bog down the connection. And with everybody moving to 2048-bit RSA keys for their SSL connections, I mean, hopefully Sony is thoughtful enough to do that. But you don't want people jacking into your session. Hopefully they are using strong RSA encryption. That would be the preferred the preferred method for Sony. They don't want another hacker gate on their hands. So and you know, it'll be decent enough, and I'm sure it'll be pretty good for people that have super high-speed connections, you know, those 80 megabit connections. But they're saying 5 megabits or better, and somebody with 5 megabit connections is not going to have a very good time. I'm just telling you that right now. If you have a 5 megabit connection and you want to connect to this and play some games, don't expect to have a good time. All I'm going to say is user beware. If I do end up getting a PS4 at some point, I'm going to try it out. And if, you know what, if Sony can pull it out and impress me the way Terradici impressed me way back when, then that is a good job. You know what I mean? You know, you got to give them credit if they can get it to work the way that they're saying it's going to work. But I can almost guarantee you, from a technical standpoint, it's not going to work the way that even they think it's going to work. I will say though that I hope that them doing this, that them pushing for this implementation, means that ISPs start to step up their game with regards to bandwidth and providing a better quality of service all the way around. Alright guys, that is it for this video. Thanks for watching. Remember to like, favorite, comment, and subscribe. And I'll catch you later. Have a good one.